Greetings and salutations, humans. Welcome to the channel. This is your host, Putinbot. Today, I'm going to be doing a spotlight on 4 rare champions that are free to obtain. You're farmable from the campaign, and they are going to all be very good at helping you with progression, whether you're just getting started with Raid Shadow Legends, whether you're in the mid game like what I am. And I dare say that they can even be of some assistance to you in the end game, rather in 3v3 arena, rather in Doom Tower secret rooms, clan boss. I mean, you name it. I think you're able to get a good return on your investment with these champions. So let's hop into it without further ado. Hey, look, player's trying to sell me something. And let's just hop right on in, and we will talk about these 4 champions. Now, one thing I do want to make very clear before I go into this. Of these 4, one of them I no longer have. I used to have her, and I sacrificed her when I got my Blind Seer, and I ate her because there's no point in taking her up to 5 stars in my, or take her up past 5 stars in my opinion. And that is going to be Spirithost, which is this rare champion right here. What's nice about Spirithost, when you first get started out, she is going to be your attack up champion and is going to pay you dividends in spades in the arena. Now her aura, she does have a speed in all battles aura by 10%. You are going to outgrow her within the first month of playing the game. That's where you're going to get High Katoon. High Katoon just simply has a better speed aura. Now, where Spirithost comes in the arena specifically, is her A2. She places the big version of increased attack on your team for 2 turns. So what she's going to do for you, you're going to have your speed lead, whether it's High Katoon, Apothecary, whoever. Then, ideally, you would want to have her go next and place this attack up. And she's going to feed into the second champion we're going to show, who is going to be your defense down. And then lastly, your nuking champion is going to go. Most likely that's going to be your start. It'll be Kale, that will be Elaine, Gaelic, or Aethel. Personally, I'm hoping that you picked either Elaine or Kale, but hey, you do you. They're all good, right? Anyway, back to the video. What she's going to do is that she's going to allow your nuker to hit significantly harder. And especially if you're running a defense down, if you go first, you're going to put your enemies into the dirt. Her A1 does have a small heal on it. Now her A3, a lot of times is overlooked. She has a cleanse, a full team cleanse, which is rare for a rare to have, pardon the pun, but it's true. She removes all debuffs on allies, then places a block debuffs buff on allies for 1 turn. Now, one good thing about Spirithost, along with the other 3 champions I'm going to be talking to you about in this video, they are all farmable from the campaign, and you can farm multiple copies of themselves. So you can use those copies to feed into the champions that you already have to book them out. You just got to be willing to put in the time and the energy to go in and farm those copies of these champions. Now, the next champion I'm going to talk to you about is here in Barbarians, and I'm going to show you all where in the campaign you're going to get all these champions from. Is Warmaiden. This is why I'm saying that you want your Spirithost to go after your speed lead, because Warmaiden is also an attack-based champion. She's a barbarian. What makes her unique? She is the only rare in the game that has a 100% AoE defense down. So you'd have your High Katoon going first. Spirithost is going to buff everyone's attack. Then Warmaiden's going to go. Warmaiden actually does hit hard. And then your nuker is going to go. Whoever that may be, whether it's Elaine, whether it's Kale, whoever. You know your account much better than anybody else does. But this is her money ability right here. Crumbling Blast is on a 3-turn cooldown when fully booked. And again, just like Spirithost, you can farm multiple copies of Warmaiden to book her out. And it's going to magnify your damage in spades. The next champion we are going to talk about is here in High Elves, And this is a champion who I still use quite a bit. And we're talking about Heiress. Now, Heiress is farmable from the campaign. She has a really nice aura, increased ally speed in dungeons by 16%. Her passive, though, is what makes her really unique. Counterattacks the attacker when an enemy is attacked. This is on a one-turn cooldown. So what that means is, if an enemy goes and then they hit an ally, she's going to counterattack that champion that attacked your team. She only does that once until she gets another turn. So she won't just keep going over and over and over and over again. I wish she would. That would make her bust it. That's not how she works. But she does hit decently hard. But really what she's all about is this A2. She has a cleanse just like Spirithost does. And how these two work so well together, hers is on a 3-turn cooldown. Spirithost is on a 5-turn cooldown. Between those two, you're able to pretty consistently clear off your debuffs, plus that attack up buff that your Spirithost is putting out is going to help your Heiress do more damage. It makes her hit harder. But what's really nice about Heiress is that she puts a 30% increased speed buff on your team, in addition to the cleanse. So if you don't have an apothecary, what Heiress is going to do, she's going to help you go faster. She's going to help you get more turns out to your team. And then her A1, she attacks one enemy. She grants an extra turn if she kills a target. So if you hit someone and you kill them, she merely takes another turn, which in turn reduces the cooldown on her A2. Pretty sweet. And then the last rare champion we're going to be talking about today is here in Demon Spawn. And I'm talking about Diabolist. Now, I have been using Diabolist quite a bit in Demon Spawn faction groups. She is a lot like a miniature Lysandra. She is all about speed. Her A1 attacks one enemy, has a chance of putting an enemy to sleep. It's nice, but it's not game changing. Right here, she attacks all enemies, then places that 30% increased speed buff on allies for 2 turns. So she's not like Heiress in that way. Then, you go right down here, fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. Decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15% on a 4-turn cooldown. And so how this really works well, how this synergizes, and this is something I actually used to do early in the game. I ran Heiress and I ran Diabolist on the same team with Spirithost. So that way I had the cleanse from 2 of my rares, and I would alternate the abilities between Diabolist and Heiress, so I always had that speed buff up and going. Once I got an apothecary, I actually took Diabolist out of my team, but I did keep running Heiress for the cleanse because it's on a 3-turn cooldown. And let me show you where you're going to be able to get these champions from real quick. This video is going to be short, it's going to be quick. I'm going to show you all the 2 that I still use actively on my account, and I'll also show you a run involving these 2 champions. That's one of the things. Here's a promise that I'm going to make to each and every one of you. I will never do a showcase on a champion who I do not use. I think that's dirty. I think it's dirty pool. How could you possibly recommend putting your resources into a champion that you've never used? That's something that a lot of your content creators will do. That is something I will never ever do. So let me hop over here into campaign real quick. So for the first one, for Spirithost, you're going to farm her out of stage 4 in Durham Forest. Just keep farming, you're going to get her. I do recommend booking her out, especially if you're pushing for that cleanse. And like I said, don't put your rare books into it. Just farm multiple copies. The next champion, and this is one you're going to get a ton of it, because especially if you're new, you are going to be living in stage 6 for speed gear. What I recommend that you do is that you push down to the boss, farm the crap out of stage 7. Speed is life in this game. There is no stat more important than speed. Arguably accuracy, but if you don't have enough speed to be able to go, the accuracy is not really going to matter. Speed is king, in my opinion. Think of the old adage that fighter pilots have: speed is life. Speed is life in Raid Shadow Legends. But this is where Heiress drops. She drops here in stage 6. And the reason why I'd say farm the boss is that you get better quality gear from the boss. And so that way you're able to get that speed gear for your speed lead, whether it's Haikatoon or whoever, and that's going to give you a fighting chance to go first in the arena. And that's also where you're going to be able to farm your Heiress at. And just on a funny note, I've got to share this. If y'all don't care about this, fast forward the video by, I don't know, 40, 50 seconds. But I just want to tell y'all a story from my early days playing this game. I was cruising down in bronze, just farming my bronze medals, and I found this team rocking an Heiress. It's just a lone Heiress on defense. She was level 60. It's like, oh, this should be an easy win. I jump in. That Heiress proceeds to one-shot my entire team. I went first. I didn't kill her. She counterattacked, because remember, she has that counterattack passive. She dropped one of my champions. Then she went again. And then she went again. And then she went again. So this wonderful bootylicious elf one-shot my entire team, and I had nightmares. I woke up with cold sweats about it. Just kidding. But ever since that happened, that's when I knew that this rare champion, this rare elf, and frankly, she is good looking. I mean, look at these assets that she's rocking. How can you not like that? Anyway, back to the story. After she one-shot my whole team, I was like, I have got to have myself an Heiress. So I took the time, I farmed one, fully booked it, and even before Doom Tower came out, I would still run her sometimes, just because, why not? I mean, are y'all like that? Do y'all have any favorite champions that y'all just run even after they should be obsolete? You still use them, and then lo and behold, you find another use for them when new content comes out. You're like, hey, I really like this. Now, back to the video. That was all for free. The next one, here in Stage 9, this is where you can farm your Warmaiden. Right here. And for these stages, the only stage I would really recommend farming the boss on is Stage 6, because of the speed gear. If you're farming for these rares, farm the 3rd level, the shield stage. Shields sell for a little bit more than your other artifacts, and so you'll be able to farm silver while you're farming your champion and farming the books for it. Then lastly is right here, and this is where you're going to get your Diabolist. And again, just farm Stage 3. The one exception to that rule, like I said, is Palace of Bavaria. Go ahead and farm the boss. Do yourself a favor. Get yourself the higher quality speed gear. You will thank me for this. And with that said, let me hop in and show you these two rares that I still use, weekly if not daily. And that is going to be Warmaiden and Heiress. Here's my Warmaiden. Now, one thing about my Warmaiden, I do steal her gear a lot. So if I do get a champion, and if I need stats, and if Warmaiden happens to be wearing that gear, I take it from her. I mean, look at her. She's scantily clothed. She doesn't really care anyway, but it is what it is. Right now, I do have her in these crit damage gloves. They're not rolled up. I'm going to be waiting for Clan versus Clan to roll them up, if I even roll them up at all. Let's take a look here at their total stats. Her crit rate's 49%. Probably going to roll them up, because without 100% crit rate, the crit damage gloves are not really going to do any good. But I use her for secret rooms in Doom Tower, where you have to use rare champions only. So that's pretty much one place I use her. I do also use her in Faction Wars. So her accuracy is high, 297. On my Faction Wars team, I run Contra in the lead, so I get the extra accuracy, or Haikatoon, depending on what's going on. Her base health is low. Her base speed is decent, 216. It could definitely stand to be a little bit higher, but she does the job that I need her to do. And her masteries that I've got her in, because I used to use her as my defense down in the arena, like for a year. I ended down in Helm Smasher, and I just have never changed her. I don't use her in the arena anymore. Like I said, right now she is Doom Tower and Faction Wars. So if I was going to try to min-max this, I would go to Warmaster. I just don't feel like wasting the gems to respec her. Then the next one that I use is Heiress. Now my Heiress, I have not finished mastering her out. I have, as you can see, I've taken her up to level 60. I've been using her for other things, but I've never taken the time to farm her masteries, and that is really a big miss on my part, honestly. I will go ahead and show y'all how I am going to take her down. I'm going to take her down into offense, and I'm going to end here in Warmaster, and I'm going to be sure to pick up Methodical. And the reason is, the more she uses her A1, the harder it's going to hit. But because of her passive, she's getting a free counterattack on her off turn. Whenever it's her turn, she's going to slap somebody. That's going to stack with this Methodical mastery, and then Warmaster is just going to help her do more damage against the boss. Now, when it comes to Heiress, she's incredibly squishy, and that's the same of all 4 of these rares. They are rare champions after all. The further on that you go in the game, their stats are just going to start getting outclassed. So you've got to keep that in mind. You've got to build a team around them to help them stay up. If you don't, they're going to fall over. I am going to go through the defense tree with her, and I think what I'm going to go parry. Wisdom of battle, maybe. Stubbornness. Ultimately, my end goal is to end here in Retribution. This is where I'm going to this is where I'm going to go. I might even respec her. I still have the free respec, and I might even just come here into Tough Skin, go into Blast Proof, and then work my way down here on the left hand side to Retribution. All this is going to do is just give me an extra chance to get the counterattack. Now, the way that I've got my Heiress built, you hop over here into Artifacts. Oh, and she is fully booked, so is my Warmaiden, so is my Diabolist. I do still use my Diabolist occasionally in Faction War secret rooms. I've got her in 3 speed sets, but she's level 40. I really need to take her up to level 50 at this point. I've just been prioritizing my resources for other champions. Now, as I was saying, she is fully booked. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. She is level 60. For her artifacts, as you can see, I have not rolled up her amulet or her ring. I'm waiting for clan versus clan. I want to get the points for clan versus clan. I'm rocking her in a toxic set, and the reason for that is I want her to have a chance of landing that weak poison just to help with her damage output. Now, another way you can run your Heiress, and this is how I ran my Heiress for a long time, put her in a reflex set. Because she only has 2 active skills, and her A2 is her money ability for that cleanse. So if you have her in a reflex set, what that does is gives you a chance to start of her turn to reduce the cooldown on her A2. That way she's able to get back up, and you can get a cleanse. It comes back to beginning her turn. She can potentially get another cleanse again. A Relentless set also works on her, but in my opinion, there's just simply going to be other champions that are going to have a better use for a Relentless set than Heiress, in my opinion. I said I'm rocking her in Toxic just to help with damage against the boss. If you're primarily looking for that cleanse, consider a reflex set. That's why I ran her in for a really long time, and it worked well. If you are using her in the arena, go Savage. That way, I'll just give you a chance to ignore additional defense. And if you are going to use her in the arena, go Helm Smasher. Just kind of got back in here real quick. So if you go, not that one. Where am I? Here we are. So if you take her into Helm Smasher in the arena and just kind of build a troll Heiress like what handed me my butt back in the day. Helm Smasher is how you do it. Have her in Savage gear, and you can just troll people all day long, provided you're far enough back in the arena. It's not going to work in Gold 4, but if you're in Bronze or Silver, yeah, Heiress can just really... She can break someone's mind. I'm speaking from experience here. So now let's just go ahead and jump in. I just want to show y'all a quick run real quick. Just that way y'all able to see just what these two are able to do. Let's flop this out here. So what we're going to do, we'll go Heiress in the lead. We're going to use her for that speed aura. We're going to use Warmaiden for the attack down. Let's go ahead and use Reliquary Tinder for healing. Let's use Miscreated Monster for control. And let's go ahead and do... Who do you want to do last? I guess we need to win condition against the dragon, don't we? That would probably help if we have a way to kill the dragon. Let's just do ninja. Alright, so this is a pretty accessible team. Like I said, we've got 2 farmable champions. Do have Reliquary Tinder, who is she's a void rare, but she is attainable. She's relatively easy to get. Ninja was a free legendary, but you're able to get through October. And then we've got Miscreated Monster for the Ally Protect and for the shields. And let's hop right on in and see how this goes. And we're done. And I just realized, let me go ahead and show you all the total stats real quick on my Heiress. And I'll also go ahead and show you all my Diabolist. And I'll go ahead and end the video there. Let me hop back down here to her. Total stats. She is relatively slow, 181. I need to get her speed up a bit higher. She's also at 99% crit rate. 100% is of course what you want. Her base attack is low, and her crit damage is low. She still does decent work, especially with that toxic set. And Heiress, I mean, she's relatively easy to build. What you're looking for, if you're building her for damage, you want to build her with as much attack and as much crit damage as you're able to give her. 100% crit rate and also speed. That way she's able to cycle through the A2 quicker. Again, if you're running in reflex, it's just going to help. If you're using Heiress and Spirithost as your cleanse, then I would recommend that you push hard to get Heiress into a reflex set. That's just going to help cleanse those debuffs off even quicker and prioritize speed over anything else. If you are building her as a cleanse, buffer, and DPS, then build similar to what I've got here will work for you. And consider going into a toxic set, especially if you have someone else that's able to help with that cleanse, and if you're using her primarily for that speed buff. If you're waiting to get your apothecary, for example. And let me go show you all my Diabolist real quick. I've got her built for pure survivability. I'm not going to show you all the run on this because frankly it wouldn't be fair for her. I mean, she would not survive a level 20 dungeon. Right now I'm using her in Doom Tower with Umbral Enchantress, so the waves are just completely controlled, and Diabolist, she just doesn't get hit. I've got her in 3 speed sets as you're able to see, and I'm prioritizing accuracy. You gotta have accuracy to land that turn meter reduction. I've got her in crit rate gauntlets, and again I'm pushing accuracy and I'm pushing speed wherever I can find it. Her crit rate is high, her crit damage is low, and really all of that is because that's just the gear that I have with the stats I was prioritizing. Diabolist doesn't really hit hard. So if you have hit point gloves or if you have defense gloves available, feel free to run them on her. That's going to be perfectly fine. She's squishy. All 4 of these champions are very squishy. So you want to prioritize their survivability over anything else. If they're in the dirt, they're not going to help you at all. And I really can't think of anything else to say about them, truly. I said, of the 4, in my opinion, Heiress is probably the most useful because she has that cleanse and she has that speed buff. And the way that and you can even run her in some clan boss teams if you want to. You can run her to cleanse off the stun off of a champion. And I know that Deadwood, he's got a couple of videos out now with the new Void the new Void Epic Dwarf. This chick right here, Dimithia. I've not built her out yet. I will eventually. I just don't know when that's going to be. I'm not a whale, so my resources are limited. So the champions I'm able to build out is also limited as well. So I just don't go hog wild and just try and push out champions just for the sake of pushing them out. I build out champions that are going to be useful for my account. And because they're useful to my account, I want to share them with y'all, because odds are if you have them, they're going to be able to help you the same way that they're helping me. Going to head on out. If you're new to Raid Shadow Legends, invest in getting those 4 rares, invest in booking them out. They are going to help you out dramatically. And I will see y'all on the next video. Have a good one. Bye bye.